You know what's a bit surreal for me is today is the second time I've ever been in this town. And the first time was 2 months ago, and I was standing in the exact same spot. I gave a public talk in this beautiful auditorium titled Astronomy Bizarre, all the cool, wacky things that go on in the universe. And it was well attended, and I felt the warmth no differently then than now. So just thank you for this invitation, not only to join the town, but Mr. President and trustees, interested supporters, graduates, family members, even very, very young family members. I didn't notice. There's a real teeny one right there up the middle, can't be more than 4 months old. There it is, yeah. It was very Lion King, you know. The next generation, we got to make sure that they're. So let me start off by saying Pluto is still not a planet, okay? Just to get that out of the way. I'd like to offer a cosmic perspective on something that maybe some of you might even take for granted. Many people in the environmental movement will credit its existence, its very birth, to the publication of Rachel Carson's seminal book, Silent Spring. That book highlighted the dangers of the overuse of pesticides, DDT in particular, and the damage it would do to the environment, to the insects themselves, the balance of insects in the wild, as well as to our health. However, that influence may be overstated in the following way. She planted seeds of what would later be an environmental movement, but they were planted in fallow ground, and I'll explain why. The book came out in 1962, a New York Times bestseller. It caught the interest of President Kennedy. President Kennedy had her testify in front of the science committees of Congress to talk about this problem. These are the seeds getting planted. What would happen next? The president would get assassinated, losing some of the momentum that he brought to that cause. She would die a year later of complications from breast cancer. No one on that committee would still be on that committee 5, 6, 7, 8 years later. So now watch the unfolding of these events. The Vietnam War escalates. The Civil Rights Movement escalates. No one has time to think about the environment. No, if we did, it was a local concern. There's a river that got polluted, we had to fix that river. There was some air, some chimneys here, let's fix these chimneys. These were local actions. It was not a movement. In the 1960s, we remember the hippies, but their mantra was make love, not war. Not make love and clean up the environment. That is not in their slogans at all. You know when it began? December 1968. Oh, by the way, I was told I had 8 minutes up here, and I said to the president, you want me to fit the whole universe into 8 minutes? I'll try, but okay. Fast forward to 1968. The most turbulent year in America, in the most turbulent decade since the Civil War. It was campus unrests, 2 assassinations, hot war in Southeast Asia, Cold War with the Soviet Union. We were losing more servicemen per week in Vietnam that year than any other year. We had so much on our plate at the time. I'm old enough to remember that. What happens? December comes. By the way, NASA is still doing its thing throughout all of this. Criticized by many, this is a luxury to go into space. We have problems here on Earth. Yes, we're going into space. And you know what happens in December 1968? Apollo 8 is launched. This is the first time anyone has ever left Earth for a destination. Everyone else only went into Earth orbit, boldly going where hundreds had gone before. You don't remember Apollo 8 because they didn't land on the moon. But they went to the moon, orbited the moon. And in one of the orbits, Earth ascends above the lunar landscape. They pull out their color Hasselblad camera and take a photo. This photo is perhaps the most famous photo ever obtained by anyone, anywhere. It's called Earthrise. You know the one I'm talking about. The stark contrast between the colorless lunar surface, just shades of gray, and this blue marble in the sky, seen as only nature intended you to see it, with oceans, and land, and clouds. You know what it didn't look like? The color-coded schoolroom globe that we were all trained on. I remember looking at the globe saying, oh, this is to help us learn geography and where the countries are, and in my cynical old age, I'm rethinking that experience, saying to myself, no. This is so we can be indoctrinated about who our enemies are. The countries have different colors than ours. It was a way to divide us, not to unify us. This is my country, that's your country, you're not allowed in. Imagine aliens coming to Earth saying, are you all the same species? Yeah. So, WTF, you know? It's like, I don't know if aliens have that abbreviation, but if they did, that's when they would invoke it. Yeah. How do you move across these? Oh, you need special papers, you need permission. There are laws. After that photo was published, we all stood in awe of it, and we changed. No, but no one was thinking, I'm changed because I saw that photo. We just changed as though there was a firmware upgrade in our brains delivered from space. And as a firmware upgrade, you just behave differently after that upgrade. You're not thinking cause and effect. Here's what happened. 1968. The Whole Earth catalog comes out. There's a phrase, whole Earth. Where are you getting that concept from? Whole Earth. You know what they used as their primary cover? Earthrise over the moon. In 1969, we land on the moon, walk on the moon. Apollo 11. More Earth from space. We're looking at Earth, and there's no sign that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. There's a quote from Apollo 4. Oh, by the way, we went to the moon from 1968 to 1972. We went to the moon 9 times. The people say, did we really go to the moon or did we fake it? So my answer is, yes, we faked going to the moon 9 times. It's rumored that Hollywood studied whether we should fake the moon landing. And they brought it to the special effects experts, and they would say, we studied this all in secret. They say, but we think it would do it best if we faked it on location. Apollo 14 astronaut, Edgar Mitchell, in 1971, upon going to the moon and looking back on Earth, is quoted in an interview with Time magazine. You develop an instant global consciousness, a people orientation, an intense dissatisfaction with the state of the world, and a compulsion to do something about it. From out there on the moon, international politics looks so petty. You want to grab a politician by the scruff of the neck and drag him 250,000 miles out and say, look at that, you son of a bitch. He was feeling it. And so did everybody else. You want evidence? In 1970, while we're on the moon, 1970 was the first Earth Day. Could happen in 1960, did it? No. 1950? No. 1980? No. It happened while we were on the moon. Earth Day. And you ask me, well, why do we study? Why is it Earth Day? Oh, it's time to care about Earth. That's that firmware upgrade kicking in. What else happened in 1970? The Environmental Protection Agency is brought into existence. The EPA. By the way, signed into law by a Republican president. Who would have thought, given the behavior of the politics of the day? What else happened then? Oh, we saw Earth with oceans in it. NOAA was founded, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. No one had put the ocean and the atmosphere together in the same sentence before. There are people who study water and the air. They're related. What else happens? Between 1968 and 1972? Oh, 1971, Doctors Without Borders is founded. They probably would have been, they would have happened anyway, but would they call themselves Without Borders? I think without the moon shots, they would have called themselves International Doctors. Something that referenced the existing nations. But without borders? That's a space concept. Let's keep going. A Comprehensive Clean Water Act was passed in Congress. Comprehensive Clean Air Act was passed. And yes, they finally banned DDT in 1972, 10 years after Rachel Carson's book. But while we were walking on the moon, and yeah, there's some spillage there in 1973, we would ban leaded gas, because lead in the environment makes you stupid. Did I exaggerate that? We've got some people here who know. I think that's spot on. This school was founded in 1965. We hadn't landed on the moon yet. Was environment a mission statement in 1965? No. It became Unity University in 1967. Is the word environment there yet? No. We land on the moon. You can't instantly then have an environmental university because you don't have academics yet who even studied it. The biologists, the chemists, the Forest Service can say, wait a minute, there's the whole earth here that we have to care about and think about. Let's make that an academic program. So yes, it happened in the 70s, 1977, become Unity Environmental University. Right out of the box, knowing full well how important that mission is. All those fields, ecology, the fact that we're living in a biosphere, interdependent. People had to realize that. That wasn't just there waiting to, wasn't there getting handed to us. People had to figure that out. And you're all now experts at that. Oh my gosh, experts in a field that no one even dreamt of a generation ago. Assuring you're on the frontier of thought. I think I hit my 8 minutes, but allow me to just say just a couple of things about what it is to graduate. At the risk of stating the obvious, the last I looked up the word commence, it means to begin, not to end. To begin. Anyone who thinks commencement is an end, the world will pass you by. And we know people like that. The people who couldn't wait till the end of the school day, couldn't wait till spring break, couldn't wait till school ends, and they run down the stairs, toss their books in the air, school's out. There's even a rock anthem celebrating that by Alice Cooper. School's out for the summer. School's out forever. Whoever dreamt up those lyrics views school as some nasty place they never wanted to go to. You know what happens to those people? They graduate and they get ossified in that moment. They think, I've learned, I have the degree, I got the degree, and now I'm ready for the world. But the world keeps going. The world doesn't stop the day you graduated. The world keeps moving on. So the best thing school can do for you, as brilliantly detailed by the president's address, is set you up to keep making change. To imbue within you a curiosity that does not end on a commencement day. It just begins. I've learned more about this world and about my profession and everything I care about. I've learned more since I graduated than I ever learned in school. You're being taught out of a textbook written years before by someone who was an expert, who became an expert decades before. You gotta keep moving. Do not stop, lest the world pass you by. So, I don't get to say this to many graduates because you guys are plugged in exactly the way the world needs. Go forth and fix the world. How many people I get to tell that to? Fix the world. Turn it into something the next generation will be proud of, because you are not handing the world down to them. No. Instead, you are borrowing it from them. And when they get it back, you want them to be proud of all the decisions you made. And no one is better qualified than you. Congratulations, graduates.